Hello everyone and welcome to another TVP with me, Snow, because, well, why not? So it's been a little while since I posted anything, and that's because I've been trying to get better. I've been tweaking my builds here and there, and my TVT I actually figured out, and it's still my weakest matchup, but it's not as bad as it used to be, thank God for that. So last time we went over my build, and I just gave you a general look at what it's supposed to, well, look like. I gave you a couple of tips here and there, but it wasn't anything in depth. It wasn't anything too bad. But this video we'll be going a little bit more in depth. We'll be analyzing our pushes, why it works, the biggest threats as to what shuts it down the most, without like being a straight build up or build order counter. I'm gonna fast forward this because you guys probably already know my build. For those of you who don't, I just go standard 2 racks into no gas. 4-minute expo into 5-minute push. And I didn't tell you guys this in the last video, but for those of you who actually want to know the build, I actually go for a 13 racks. Instead of going for another SCV, I just delay it a little bit, I get my racks. And it doesn't really matter if you do or not. You can go 14 racks, it's fine. 13 racks just allows the Marines to line up a little bit better, but it does like delay your SCV by about 5 seconds, but whatever, it's fine. If you go for 14 racks, then the 5 seconds is delayed, well, 5-6 seconds delayed for the barracks. But it doesn't really make that much of a difference, it really doesn't. And our Protoss actually scouts. I love seeing this, because not every Protoss scouts. I actually played a Master Player the other day, and he didn't scout. He just went straight up, 4-gate blink all in, and he didn't scout. I won. That makes me happy, because I don't like those kinds of builds. And I didn't scout what I was doing and lost too many probes early on and just lost. I'm very happy. Now, I'm not trolling this SCV just for the sake of trolling. I'm actually scouting right now.
Upgrade complete.
Income. Yeah, we're trailing a little bit far behind. That's okay. Right, so for scouting purposes, the gas is the important one. Okay, so 100 gas mine instead of 150. No chrono boost, and this is going to be done... Come on. Right, so this is going to be done around 340, 345, which is standard. And it looks like he's going to be throwing down a Nexus because it's only 100 gas mined. Probably going Mothership Core too. Speaking of the Mothership Core, this build is also, well, I also named it my anti-mothership core build because this build and all of its pushes work around the mothership core. It exploits it. So if you're looking for a way of getting getting through their defenses, this is not half a bad thing to learn from. It's almost 5 minutes. And again, for those of you who actually want to learn the build, I'm going to go for my view. I'm going to pause right before we push, because right before we push, something important happens. And this will happen every time we push. Our energy is 5. Okay. So every time we push, for some reason, the orbital energy always aligns for a mule. Okay, so this doesn't happen anymore, but we used to happen. Now people go Mothership Core, but Mothership Core is not that useful. What used to happen is that Protosses, in order to defend, would send out 2 or 3 stalkers here, intercept midway, and then pull you around here, making sure to micro. And this whole thing... Oh, I feel like I got the Mothership Core. This whole thing was to prevent you from going here. It's just to buy time for defenses. But people don't really do that anymore, so that was usually the best way of getting around this build. Since people don't do that anymore. I'm on the fence about sniping the Mothership Core. I mean, it has advantage and disadvantages, which... The advantages being that, of course, your opponent has to remake the Mothership Core, so 100 gas, which is not tech, so it's good for us. The bad side is that our next push, if our opponent rebuilds the Mothership Core soon enough, it might have enough energy for Photon Overcharge at 7:30, which is when our next push is. And our opponent is pulling off the probe. By the way, the reason why this works, I'm going to leave the camera here because all my Marines die, it's not a big thing. The reasons why this push is because our opponent has to micro the stalkers here midfield when he spots our push coming. Gonna have to micro here while also microing the mothership core now because you don't want that thing to die. While also making sure to continue probing, and he didn't probe. That's a big thing. He didn't probe. While also chrono boosting out the warp gate and transforming the gateways into warp gates, while also warping in units to help defend and making sure not to lose zealots or even stalkers to our push. So in other words, I'm gonna pause because I normally push here. So in other words, our opponent, in order to hold this off and have a perfect defense, have to have like double the unit control that we do, because we just have to attack him and also make SCVs, and that's about it. That's about all we need to do. And the reason why I paused is because we normally push here, and before we push, remember, check the energy here. It's pretty close again, so while you're midfield, make sure to use the mules. Our second push can be a make or break. It depends on what your opponent does. If our opponent is smart, he will make stalkers, and he will position the 4 or 5 stalkers right here midfield, or even try to poke up, which does happen from time to time. And with our 16 Marines, I decided not to push because I wanted more Marines, but also because I sniped the mothership core here really early on, so it's possible that he could have another mothership core, which would have enough energy to defend properly. And he's not using his chrono boost, that's unfortunate. Yeah, this Protoss player doesn't have enough APM to defend properly, that's unfortunate. He is diamond, but yeah. Okay, so normally 16 Marines is what we push here. I left some back home, I'm pretty sure, yeah. I don't know why I left them back home, but anyway. The 16 is very important. It's a very important number because it allows us to two-shot both stalkers and zealots. Sentry. Cool. As for targeting, the sentry is the most important thing to target. Even more important than probes, because they're so expensive. They don't want to lose them. Sentries first. The probes are really important too. Arguably the mothership core is too, but like I said, it can have drawbacks as well. And then the army units. This is a big mistake. As a Protoss player, never let your stalkers get cornered like this, because this is the biggest thing that can happen. And right there, losing everything, like all the stalkers, all the army units, even with the reinforcements, all the probes that have been lost. Yeah, 30 workers to 42 workers. So the workers lost, the probes lost, whatever you want to call it. It's too much. He can't get back in this from this point on. And he doesn't have anything on the way, like no Dark Shrine, no tech to really do anything. 10:30, we'd push again. I'm going to pause it because this is really important. Yep, 40, 44, 30, 39. So as we'd push here again, we'd want to call down mules. And that's really the hallmark of this build. If you can nail the mule calls, you're good. But. So all those stalkers that he made that he should not have gotten killed, here we push, and this is actually a very strong push. Even though it's only 17 or 18 units normally, this is what would normally punish the stalkers, because if you look at the build order, not build order, the units, we have 8 and we have 8. So we are pretty marauder heavy. So all the stalkers that he made are going to evaporate. And even if he didn't make anything, and even if he made like maybe 1 Colossus, we have stim done, we have combat shields done, and we have concussive shells done. So even if he has like maybe a Colossus, maybe starting Templars, it's not like we don't have any options. It's not like it's that bad. We can still trade pretty evenly. Behind this, however, we do get double bay. We need a second or a first factory and another CC. Make sure to land this one down. I make 8 Raxes because I like heavy bio play. If you prefer getting an early starport just to counteract his early Colossus, or even the early, well, I guess you could also go for not Dark Shrine, Templar play, then you might want to get 6 instead of 8 for a total of 10 instead of 12 and go for these. I guess they're okay the way they are. Yeah, just get the gas and get your tech going. But this is just stylistic play. I just prefer, I can pull off this sort of heavy bio play. Yep, and I guess that's it for the build. You know, this is pretty standard. This pretty much explains the beginning. After this push, the mid game starts up, and I'll get into that a bit later. Actually, no. My next videos will be like the weaknesses of the build order counters as well, but also stuff that can cause you lots of trouble in terms of build order wise, and what you're safe against, of course. But yeah, that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.